Alright, now that we have done the enterprise structure in theory, we're going to configure enterprise structure in the system in SPRO. This will be our first exercise majorly in configuration. Now we have already seen a case scenario of how company code, company sales org plans are all assigned and what they really mean. Now we are going to talk about how to create them in the system. We'll take this simple case study. Here is our company code, company, and these are our company codes, which is another way of saying this is the parent company and these are all the legal entities under which this whole enterprise is operating. So in the US we have GE Medical Systems US, and in the UK we have GE Med UK and Asia Pac for the Asia Pacific region. We'll not create all these company codes, but we can just create one. And like I'll be telling you, we won't even be creating company codes for the simple reason that we would never ever create company codes because this is all FICO. Alright, so underneath that we have a bunch of sales orgs. Once again, like the thumb rule we mentioned, most of the time one sales org per company code. Like GE Medical US will have one sales org in the US and UK will have another sales org. But in case you want to create more sales orgs, you could do it by geography, you could do it by any other number of parameters that your users ask you to create. So here is our set of sales orgs, and these are the distribution channels: agency, wholesale, retail, direct. In this case, GE Medical Systems is selling direct and through the direct and the agency distribution channels in the West sales org. So that's what these links over here mean. And we talked about divisions. Okay, and these are our divisions. We know divisions represent the product lines. In this case, GE Medical Systems is selling X-rays and CT equipment. So they have divided their product lines into two divisions. And now underneath this sales area meaning West, direct and X-ray, let's say we have two sales offices, one in the Bay Area and one in Los Angeles. So for this exercise we'll just create one sales area, which is the Bay Area, and underneath that we have two sales groups, one for field apps, which is a product line, and the other one for consumables, which could be another example of a product line. So this is sales group. Now like I said, this is FICO, so we would probably not be creating this, but instead assume that GE Medical Systems is either 1000 or 3000, which are standard existing company codes in any IDES system. But in a real project, remember, company code will be created for you by your FICO consultant. There's a whole lot of setup that needs to be done behind the scenes when you create a company code, like the creation of GL accounts, chart of accounts, currency, account determination, so on and so forth, which we don't care about at this point or at any point in the future. So that's the reason why I'm saying don't even bother creating company codes. Rather assume that your FICO consultant has created a company code and call it either 1000 or 3000. 1000 is the German company code. So if you want to create your enterprise structure in Europe, use 1000. If you want to do it in US, start with 3000. So from an SD consultant's perspective, we're going to be creating a sales org, distribution channels, divisions, sales offices, sales groups. Now apart from this, there is a whole logistics part that needs to be created as well, like the creation of a plant, the creation of a storage location, the creation of warehouse, and the creation of shipping point. Now the plant is very much used in sales and distribution, but nevertheless it's not your job to create a plant. So who will create a plant for you? The MM consultant will create a plant. Alright, so plants New Jersey or Arkansas will be created by your MM consultants. In this case, the example being GE Medical Systems US is associated with two plants, one in Arkansas, one in New Jersey. So they have to be created in the system as plants. While you can use the existing plants 1000 or 3000 or 1200, if you want you can create your own plants, and we'll try and do that in this example. So I'll change the color just to indicate the fact that these are not something you might need to do in a real project. Alright, so this is 6 and 7 is storage location. So underneath the plant there are multiple storage locations. Each storage location contains the goods that you want to store or ship. And when you ship goods out, you will be shipping goods out of a shipping point. Shipping point is mostly relevant for SD, but it's either the SD consultant or the MM consultant who can create that. So shipping point is 8. And there are, in this case, for the Arkansas plant, there are 2 doors. Each door could be responsible for a particular type of shipment. Like we discussed in the enterprise structure theory, there could be multiple doors in the warehouse that could be assigned to a single shipping point, or each door could represent one shipping point, or all the doors in the warehouse could be represented by one shipping point, if that makes sense. And then warehouse, like I said, is always optional. Use the warehouse only if you implement warehouse management. If you do not want to implement warehouse management, do not create the warehouse. We'll try and create the warehouse in this case just to see, or rather complete the structure. But remember, warehouse management is optional. You don't need to have a warehouse management setup in order to do a sales order, delivery and billing. But if you do not have a company code, I'm just marking them in star to indicate that these are mandatory. So company code, sales org, distribution channel, division, plant, shipping point and storage location. So what are the things that are optional here? So let me change the color to green and then show you what is optional. So this is optional, this is optional, So sales offices and sales groups are optional. You don't need to have them. Warehouse management is optional. Alright, now that you have a good idea on what to create here, so let's go ahead and create them. And as we create, I'll try and capture the screenshots and paste it in our workbook. Okay, so I said we're not going to create the company code because we will never ever be creating it. So we'll start off with the sales org. Let's say US or West. We'll start off with West. Where do we go for this? So go to SPRO, which is our customizing transaction, and we have already seen the examples of customization, and we have already seen what is the purpose of customization, configuration, so on and so forth. Alright, so I'm going to jump straight to the customization part. Go to enterprise structure, and you can see that there are mainly two parts to it. One is the definition. The second part is the assignment. The definition is where you create all these little boxes. So if you can look at the enterprise structure again, the definition is where you create these sales org, distribution channel, division, plant, and all these little boxes. The assignment is the arrows that links these boxes together. So one sales org could be assigned to multiple distribution channels, multiple divisions, and one sales area comprises of one sales org, one distribution channel, division, so on and so forth. The assignment of these boxes, or the connection of these boxes, is what is represented by the assignment part. So the first part that you have to do is do the definition. Most of our work will be in these sections: logistics, sales and distribution, logistics execution. So we'll start off with logistics, sales and distribution. Here is how we create the sales org. Okay, I'll capture all these screenshots so that you can refer to them at a later point. So the first job is to create a sales org. The one that we want to create is West. Alright, so here is our sales org. So the first step is go to define, copy, check sales organization. Select it, and we have two options in this pop-up. The first option is to define a sales org, and the second option is to copy, delete, check a sales organization. Now you will be very tempted to go to the first option, define sales organization, but never do that. And this theme repeats across many other enterprise structure elements. Don't define enterprise structure elements, rather copy them from an existing standard enterprise structure element. Now you might be wondering why. When you define a sales org, there is a whole bunch of things that are already assigned, or rather that should be assigned, that you might tend to forget, or you might not even know sometimes. This could be a little difficult to comprehend initially, but as you go forward and start doing the configuration in SAP, you will notice that this is a recurring theme, where you won't create configuration but would rather copy from an existing configuration set. Now let me show you what I'm going to copy it from and why. But before I do that, let me take the screenshot and then paste it over here. So this is the first part, and this is our second part. Step 1 and step 2, select this and click choose. Okay, so when you select that and then click choose, what happens? You get this blank screen. I said we want to copy from something, right? So what do we want to copy from? First part, and why. If you want to copy something, click on this button, the second button, the one that looks like one page over the other, right? Like a notepad over there, one notepad over another. This is the copy button that you consistently encounter across all of SPRO. It's really easy to identify, as we'll see. Now, there is a from entry and a to entry. This is the from entry, this is the to entry. From is what you want to copy from, and to is what you want to copy into. Now in this case, we want to create a sales org West, isn't it? West. So the target is the to sales org, which is West. Now what's the source? Source is 0001. Now why 0001 and why not something else? For example, there are so many of them, right? Why am I only choosing 0001? For the simple reason that this is an IDES system which will contain a ton of data, like 1000, 2000, 2200, 2300, so on and so forth. But if you look at a blank system that you will be implementing SAP on in a real project, you'll not have any of this test stuff. You'll only have one sales org, which is the template that you use to copy and create your own. This is a template provided by SAP in a blank SAP system. But since the one that we are working on is an IDES system, well, you have a ton of data. But don't expect to see this data in a real SAP system that you're going to implement SAP on. Alright? So that's the reason why you will only use 0001 as the source. Now let me take a quick screenshot of this so that you can remember the source. Alright, so like I said, click on the copy button. So this is the copy button. The source always be 0001. So like I said, none of these other ones will be available. Only 001 will be available in a standard SAP system. Once again, these other elements here are available because this is a test system and there is a ton of test data. Somebody else has created them and given it to you. In this case, SAP's partners or SAP's internal testing team has created all these different sales orgs, which would not be the case in a brand new implementation. Alright, so start with 001 and then your target will be West. Click OK. And then if you get something like this, just click OK. So we'll discuss what number ranges are at a later point in time. Oh, did we not copy this? Okay, like so. Okay. So next step is you get this message. Click OK. We'll see what transport numbers are, why they are not transportable, what are number ranges, so on and so forth. If you do not see this, alright, if you do not see this, then you know what to do. We have discussed this as part of our transport request creation. Remember, if you do not see this, if you don't see a number filled up and then some text here, then you have to click on this button. This button. If you do see this, then there is no need for you to click on this new button and create a new transport request. But as a practice, whenever you are creating a new configuration, always create a new transport request. So this is a way of recording what you have done so that you don't have to repeat this again in a new environment. Things can be copied over. So we'll discuss what this is at a later point. So create sales org West. So we're just setting up a small message there so that it's very easy to identify when somebody else looks at this and says, what is it exactly that we have done at this point? Okay, so the next step is you get this transport request and you go here, click on this new box and then enter a description and then click save. When you click on save, a new transport request will be generated here. As you can see, there is a new transport request that has been generated. Okay, so here is your new transport request. This is called as a transport request or TR, which is a unique way or a unique code that identifies what you have done. And here is your description. And then click the green button, which completes your act of creating the sales organization. Okay, then you get this message, sales org copied to West, right? So this completes the creation of the sales org. And hit enter. Now we are done. We created a sales org called West. Now after you have created the sales org, click on define sales organization and then click choose. The one that we have created, go search on it. Okay, so the creation part is complete here. Or rather, the copying part is complete. Copy is complete. Now there might be some little changes that you might have to do to that sales org. For example, the way to come here is click on define sales org and then click choose. Oops. Let me move this a little bit here and then here we go. So we have to click on define the sales org now and then click choose. So go to the next page and I'll tell you why we are doing this step. So here we have a list of all the sales orgs that are available and that you have created, right? So now go to the position box and then select the sales org that you have created. Go to position and then we have created West, right? So enter that sales org, click OK, select it and then go to the details. Okay, so here is what you have to do. Sorry, there are a couple of steps that you have to do here and then I'll explain all of them. So what have we done here? Once again, you went to define sales organization, click on choose, go to position and then selected West as the sales org that you want to see and change, and I'll put that step as well here. So on to position, enter the sales org and then select the sales org and then click on the details button. So select, click on the details. Now here we specify a bunch of things. At this point, not very important, but at a later point you will see that a sales org will also have certain parameters, like what is the currency, what is the number if you are doing any text messages, what is the, if you are printing the address of your sales org on a form like an order or an invoice, what should be the address, so on and so forth. Okay, apart from that, there are other areas like intercompany rebates, so on and so forth, which we will not be very worried about at this point. But what I want you to take away from here is that this sales org has certain properties. Okay, now if you go to this little box, okay, this little box where you specify the address. Okay, what is the name? West whatever, West G something something, and then you can specify the address. Where is it? So West is in 1100 Southwest and Roos Road, and then 67009 California. No, it's like San Francisco. Okay, and then US, and then so on and so forth. Whatever you want to enter here, you can enter all that stuff in there, and then click OK, which is a way to change the address of the sales org that you have just created. Alright, so the first step was to open that sales org and then click on the address details and change the address to the exact address that you want that sales org to be headquartered at. Okay, so finish that. Oops. California. Okay, save it, and every time you save it, this pop-up box comes up. Now if you look at this box, I might not want to create a new transport request here. Why? For the simple reason that, what I've just done is also part of creating that sales org, like changing the address. But the next step, which is maybe creation of a distribution channel or whatever, is a totally different step that requires its own transport request. Right? In that case, I'll be creating a new transport request. So for now, I'm just going to say OK, whereby these two different activities that I've done just now, the first one being creation of a sales org, the second one being changing the address of the sales org, are all recorded under a single transport request. Okay, I'm done here. Going back, and the next step is the distribution channel. Now, next step is distribution channel. Now, if you remember that picture, the distribution channels were agency and then something of that sort, right? What was that? Oops. Okay, agency and then direct, right? We want to create direct as the distribution channel and then X-ray as the division. Okay, so let's create the distribution channel as agency. So again, where do we go? We go here to create a distribution channel. Click, and what do we do? As usual, copy. We don't do define, right? Copy, go to copy, and then from 01, which is the source here. Again, there might be many distribution channels, but we copy from 01. Okay, and we want to call this division as agency, right? Distribution channel as agency. So you can call it AG. Right? So I'll take a screenshot here to say that we are creating a distribution channel here of type AG, which we are copying from 01. So we click OK, and then you get this transport number problem, which is fine. Now here I'll be creating a new transport request, because in the previous one we have created a sales org, but in this one we are going to do a distribution channel, right? Two separate things. One is independent of the other. So create distribution channel AG, standing for agency. Okay, save it, and this will create another number here, which is a different transport request number, different from the previous one, and then click OK. Distribution channel AG copied to AG. We are done here, right? Let me copy all of this stuff, move it a little bit here, and then we have completed the creation of the distribution channel. Next is the division. Where is the division? Here is the division. Okay, so they are a little haphazard, so you just have to make sure that you search all of the places in the enterprise structure section to find out where all the different elements that you're going to create are. Okay, they're not in the order that we have learnt, meaning sales org, distribution channel, division, sales office. They're not in that order. They're a little haphazard, so you have to be a little careful in where you search. But nevertheless, everything will be under that enterprise structure branch. It's not a very big branch, so you don't have to really worry about it. Okay, the division that we wanted to create is X-ray, isn't it? So again, we start with 0, 1 and then create X-ray as a division. Okay, create new division XR, standing for X-ray. Enter, and then it will create a new transport request as usual. Click OK. Division is copied, and then we are done. What have we done here? Created new division XR, right? So distribution channel is done, division is done. Then we have sales office. Again, this is an optional entry, but just for the sake of completeness, we'll be doing this sales org as well. Sales office, I mean. So go to sales office, and then you can either create a new entry or you can choose to copy from 001. Okay. Now I'm taking a different beat here. I'm saying you can either copy or you can choose from 001. Why? You can sales office. So I'm saying you can either copy or you can create your own. But that was not what I said when we were creating sales orgs or distribution channels, especially sales org. The reason being, anywhere in the configuration where you have that magnifying glass kind of a button. So here is a thumb rule again. So if you have magnifying glass, safer to choose copy, COPY. In this case there is no magnifying glass, right? So you can just choose new entries, no problem. Or you can as well select 001 and then click on copy. Okay, so I'll choose new entries just to illustrate that it doesn't really bother. Alright, so what is the sales office that we should be creating? The sales office is, let's say, Bay Area, right? BAYA. The description is Bay Area. And then we have to enter some address here. No, I'm not going to enter the full address here. Bay Area sales office, it's in the US, blah blah blah. Then you can enter all that address anytime you like, and then save. Again, create a new address, new transport request, create sales office BAYA for Bay Area. So give as much of a meaningful description as you can, because it's going to be really useful after a certain point in time where you might want to dig back into the system and see what are the things that have been done, especially after a go live. If you want to find out a particular rogue transport that might be causing some problems, it's very easy to identify if you have a request description that's more meaningful. All right, so similarly you can create any other number of sales offices that you want, but for now we're just going to go ahead and create sales groups. Again, the sales group that we'll be creating is, let's say, consumables. Consumables. Enter. Okay, the one that we'll be creating here is consumables. Okay, sales office is that, and then sales group is consumables. Okay, so in fact we can copy all of this stuff into the previous slide, right, like so. So here is our sales group and sales office. Save it, then create